back to Girl Crush Country, where we are obsessed with women in country music. I'm Jess Wright, and I knew about this week's guest when she put out her debut single about 5 years ago, but I rediscovered her recently, and I'm so happy to have her on the show. Welcome, Abbey Cohn.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I would be shocked if you remembered this, but we actually met over Zoom back in 2022.
I remember that.
Do you?
Yeah, that was a blur of a time, wasn't it? Was it right after I got out of my record deal?
I think, no, you were still in the record deal.
Still in it? Okay.
Yep.
Well.
The rep from the record label
I see.
the Zoom with us, and it was to record you talking about some of your favorite women in country music.
Oh, well, here we are again.
We have come full circle.
Yes, we have.
How was your CMA Fest? Did you participate?
Gosh, yeah, my CMA Fest was awesome. It was pretty easy schedule-wise. I just played on Sunday on the Good Molecule stage outside of Bridgestone. And it was an awesome show. I had the most people show up that I've ever had. I played a lot of new music, almost exclusively new music. And yeah, it was awesome. And then I did a meet and greet and met a lot of cool people. And then I went home and took a nap. And it was like hot, but it was overcast. So I wasn't too sweaty. It was great.
It hasn't been as hot as it usually is during CMA Fest.
I know. I'm loving it.
Did you get engaged a couple months ago? You did. There's the bling. She changed the man, y'all.
I did. I got engaged on March 28th. So I don't even know 3 months ago. Yeah, I got engaged backstage at the Grand Ole Opry to my lovely fiance. His name is Dylan Brady. He's an amazing artist and writer as well. And yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
So if I'm not mistaken, your early journey in music, and we just talked about you had a record deal at one point. In a lot of ways, your journey has mirrored Taylor Swift's. You got into the songwriting community in Nashville as a teenager, moved to Nashville as a teenager, singing country music that leaned a little more pop at the time. And your record deal was with the same label, Family, as Taylor, which at the time, that had to feel like a dream come true.
It did at the time. I'm an independent artist now, and I'm by no means anti-record label. I do think the music industry has changed even since I had a record deal less than 5 years ago. I signed a record deal a month before the pandemic, which I think had a lot to do with why that relationship with the record label didn't necessarily thrive. I think everything happens for a reason. I'm really grateful for the experience. I do think if the pandemic wouldn't have happened, maybe we would have been able to have a more successful run together. But I'm really grateful for my time. I think regardless of it wasn't about the label that I was on, but getting a record deal for me was I kind of equate it to like the Wizard of Oz when they see behind the curtain and they're like, oh, this is what it is. Not that I had like this perception that once you get a record deal, then you don't have to work hard anymore. But it was like, I assumed that once you get a record deal, then the things that you think that are going to happen and this team that's there that, sometimes promises you things are going to follow through, and it's nobody's fault, but it was a big, it felt like the Wizard of Oz for me. It was just like, I moved here when I was 16. I turned 28 this year. And I think like I said, it's for the best, but it was this thing of, since I was young, I woke up every day and I was like, how do I get a record deal today? Because when I get a record deal, then I'll be successful. And that led into, then I'll be happy. Then I can meet who I'm supposed to be with. Then I can, then my life can start because, I put so much, I've been focused on this career since I was so young. So it was a really hard time for me. I grew from it a lot. And I'm not anti-record label by any means. I think that it's really important to have more leverage than I did going into a record deal.
Yeah, and I think that maybe is a common experience for people who come into Nashville thinking getting a record deal and being able to sing for a living looks one way.
Completely different behind the scenes.
Something that has come up on the show quite a few times is the necessity to figure out how to advocate for yourself when people in the industry, and let's be real, mostly men, have opinions about what songs you should be singing or writing or how you should dress and look and all of the things that you don't even realize is part of the package. How did you manage that? I mean, there's obviously some balance because you're talking about people who've been around the block and know how the music industry works, but you also have to stay true to yourself.
Right.
How did you keep that balance? Or did it take walking away from the record deal?
I think it took walking away from the record deal. During that time, the main things because I was able to release an EP with that label, and I'm ultimately grateful for the fact that introduced me to Spotify and Amazon and all these great people. And also there's a lot of amazing people that work at that label that I had great experiences with. But I feel like really what I experienced regarding that in that record deal was more just like, I feel like sometimes for artists, they're kind of beholden to who they were when they signed the record deal. And the nature of artists is they change, I think. We write music about what we're going through in our lives, and then we go through something else, and then we write about that. That might mean that I change my hair, or the nature of human beings is to change. And sometimes I think the thing that's hardest in the business side of music is when you have to have a brand and you have to be marketed and you are a product. I feel like sometimes there can be people that expect you to stay the same, which in my opinion is not really conducive to being an artist and growing. So that's a little bit of what I ran into. But honestly, it wasn't those types of things that were the reason that I left my record deal. It was more business stuff than that. And then I just I went through a really life-changing breakup years ago that changed me a lot too. And so I think just being an independent artist and having that freedom, and then also the breakup that I went through just changed me a lot. And I think it just led me to a more authentic version of myself. It was never that anyone was necessarily trying to change me in any of the structures that I was in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. So you walked away from the record deal. There had to be a crazy mix of feelings and emotions that go with that. Was it freeing, terrifying, exciting?
I think it was all the above. I think I was just so, the pandemic was a hard time for everyone. And I think it was so interesting to see how different artists and different labels were kind of handling it. In my opinion, it was sort of like what a better time to release music than when people are doing nothing but sitting at home and consuming things. Other people had different opinions on that, So I think I just got to a point where, and this isn't even really record label specific, it's more about, as an artist, the amount of times that I've experienced through all sides of the business, being surrounded by, and this just means that it wasn't the right people for me ultimately, but being surrounded by a group of people that they say they want to help me and they believe in me. But at the end of the day, I always end up feeling alone. And so I was really that feeling that I was choosing to walk away from. It was like saying, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to be doing it alone anyways, with all these people around me that say they believe in me and want to help me. I'd rather just be alone and it be all on me. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing worse than being surrounded by a bunch of people that say they believe in you and want to help you, but you still feel alone. You'd rather just be alone. So it was really just this feeling of anything has to be better than this. And the unknown is less frightening than the idea of staying in this situation. So I feel like it could have been, there's horror stories. Mine is not a unique story. So, but then after, it was I feel like anytime you go through something that requires bravery and advocating for yourself, whether that's getting out of a business deal that isn't serving you, or a relationship, or standing up to someone, is character building, and it is empowering. So it was terrifying, but it also was empowering, and it makes me feel, and I operate much more confidently now in every part of my life because I've been through hard things.
I think that's where using the word fail is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Failure leads to growth.
Right. I think it's just defining also what success means to you and to me. It's that's one thing I enjoy right now, at least. Of course, I would love a giant team of people that actually do what they say they're going to do and believe in me and whatever. But I think other maybe independent artists or people to just have small teams or just have really great teams at their record label or whatever get to experience is celebrating like little wins and little victories. It's not that our bar is lower, but it's like we get to, my team is literally like so small, you know?
It's interesting to me because your debut single was Rhinestone Ring. It's about how things don't always wind up looking like you imagined they would. And I don't think you wrote it about making music for a living, but it certainly can apply to your situation in that respect.
Yeah, totally. I feel like a lot of songs that you maybe write about love or other things can end up mirroring different situations. Yeah.
But it does seem like big things started to happen for you after you left the record label.
My first kind of year or so as an independent artist was a great one. You know, that I think that was 2023. I released a song called If You Were a Song, and that was received really well from a playlisting standpoint and was the biggest streaming song that I've ever done. And I kind of like, one thing I like too that I feel like sometimes is not an experience that you get to have on a record label, especially as like a developing artist, is reacting to things quickly. So I feel like since If You Were a Song, I've really just been kind of, me and my manager like flying by the seat of my pants, just being like, okay, If You Were a Song's doing great, maybe we should do a piano version of it. Okay, we're playing Stagecoach, maybe that's a beautiful terrain. Let's shoot a video for the piano version out in the desert. Okay, we'll put that up. And what, you know what I'm saying? Like you just get to make things happen quickly, which I feel like a lot of times doesn't happen when you have a record deal.
Because there's so many hands involved.
Correct. Yeah, there's so many cooks in the kitchen, and amazing things have happened to me. The most incredible one being I have wanted to play the Grand Ole Opry my entire life, and that didn't happen until I was an independent artist. Vince Gill ended up being the one asking me to play. I think it was CMA Fest of 2023. So June of 2023, which was like the same year I got out of my record deal. And so that being a dream that came true for me as this teeny little team that I had was, I mean, that was so affirming to me.
It had to be such a what is my life moment.
Oh yeah. It was just like proof to me that the universe, God, whatever, like rewarding me for following my intuition and being brave, you know?
And then If You Were a Song, I mean, you mentioned it was your most successful song. Still to this day, your most streamed song, 18 million streams just on Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to feel so validating.
It does. It really does, for different reasons. I feel like there's so many different things to kind of be validated by in this industry, whether it's like you have a video that's doing well or you have a song that's streaming. It's like that doesn't necessarily mean I have 18 million fans. Do you know what I'm saying? But that is a win in and of itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like you said, none of, that's honestly like, yes, I'm so grateful for it. It's been kind of hard post If You Were a Song. It's had to be a conscious choice for me to not compare everything else I've put out to that and to the success of that song. But I just have to remind myself that like I didn't expect that with If You Were a Song. Like there was no part of me that thought I was going to put out If You Were a Song and it was going to get put on the Hot Country playlist. I feel like it's sometimes easy and kind of dangerous to like always move the goalpost on yourself of like what your dream is. I'm very grateful for that moment in time though.
Well, you did finally get to put out your debut album, Greener. And I say this all the time, if there's one thing breakups are good for, it is making great country music.
This is true. So
your world kind of got rocked again. I imagine that impacted what was going to be your debut album more than you had planned.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm laughing because of just how much it impacts it.
Listen, if anybody understands a bad breakup and how it changes your life, it's me.
That really threw a wrench in my plans. My last relationship was with my producer at the time. And so that really changed plans. But I'm really, really proud of myself for getting that album out because it was yet again another example of me being really brave and leaving a situation that was not right for me. And I would have had every right to like take a break and just be like, I need to be okay right now. But it felt more right to me to be like, no, I'm not gonna let this stop me from creating. Obviously there's tons behind the scenes, but it was empowering for me to be like, no, I can do this. It was my first time working with other producers in like 5 or 6 years, you know, like obviously I've always written with other people and stuff like that, but that past relationship had a lot to do with my career and my work and stuff. And so, yeah, I worked with amazing people. That was like an album that I didn't care about the success of it. I just needed to like get it out. And I put If You Were a Song on it because it felt like the start. It like wasn't a concept album, but it like kind of went, I track listed it sort of chronologically through when I was in this kind of relational bliss all the way to like reality. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I love that album. It's really special to me.
That album did feel to me like a bit of a transition because there was still kind of a pop feel, quite a bit of a pop feel on it.
Yes.
And now it feels like you've turned a corner in a couple of different ways. One, going toward a more traditional sound, and two, having a much more irreverent and unapologetic voice.
Yeah. Period. Love it. You are so right.
And we're here for it, by the way.
And thank you so much. Me as well. Yeah, I had felt it in my soul, honestly, like a couple years ago that I wanted to make a traditional country album. It always felt, you know, even if anyone had seen me on the road in the past 4 years, I was always covering Help Me Make It Through the Night, He Stopped Loving Her Day, even while playing pop country songs. And I don't know, when I moved to Nashville, that's just the music that I made. That was authentic to me at the time, but I just have such, like, singing traditional country feels like, I know this sounds so weird, but it like feels good to me. Like when I sing traditional country song, it like, there's this thing that happens. It's like so fun for me. You know, I'm from Texas. It's like what I grew up singing and doing. One thing that I always mention is that going down this lane and changing direction for me helped me find the fun in music again, because traditional country music that I love, Tammy, Loretta, Hank, like there's Willie, like there's so much humor in those songs. And after so long of like writing songs that are like bearing my soul and sort of like telling every detail about what I'm going through, it's like also from like a touring perspective, like when you're an opener and people don't give a shit about you and you're singing a song like worst case scenario in front of them, there's like nothing worse, you know? It wasn't even on purpose. It's just sort of kind of what's happened, like that I've kind of taken these certain parts of my personality that kind of got put on the back burner, which if anyone like truly knows me, you know how like sassy and unapologetic I am. And so I just kind of like forced that to come out of me. And it sort of did come out of me just naturally with what I have been through in the last few years. Yeah, I'm loving it. It feels so good and it feels fun to me again.
And I think there's a lot to be said for, you know, we're constantly told, and it's one of the reasons Girl Crush Country exists, we're constantly told women don't want to hear music from women, which we know is bullshit. We seem to be in this season of time on social media where finally women are outwardly expressing that they are sick of men's shit.
Yeah.
And here you come, New Year's Day, very traditional song called Change the Man. And like some of the best country music, it's not necessarily what you think. It's not that you're trying to change a man. It's that you're trying to change the man. It's about the bar for men not being on the floor anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is literally exactly what I went through. I wrote that song with Madison Kozak, who is my best friend and my favorite person to write with. It was just her and I. We wrote it, and I was touring with Kimberly Perry. So we were at like a casino or something on an off day, and I had that idea. Yeah, I'm obsessed with that song. I think we killed it. And that song, like I was playing that out on multiple tours before I had released it, and I had never had an in-person crowd reaction towards a song. Even crowds that were like more, I was on more like pop leading tours with like Stephen Day and Truesdale and stuff like that, and these people just like loved that song. You know, I've had girls message me being like, I was with my ex at that show and I saw you sing that, and then I broke up with him after because I realized that he was giving me the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. If I can just brag on my fiance for a second,
yes,
like
ma'am.
there was like a meme the other day, and it was like the girls who get the best guys are because the men that they're with also hate men. Yeah. And like my fiance, like I would not have been able to write that song if it had not been like coupled with like, yes, my bravery to be like, I deserve better than this, but also with a man who like showed me, who like raised the bar for me, you know? Mm-hmm. And so that's just like my new fire in life is talking to girls. Like there is someone else out there for you. Until you're with a man who's obsessed with you, you won't realize how much your ex hated you. I'm just preaching right now, but like just anyone, like find someone who likes you that you don't have to like change for, you don't have to like earn their love. I don't know. It changed my life. And that song is of course just about that sort of one part of it, about getting rid of the man, but there's so much more, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I always say, let's keep the bar so high that most men can't reach it, because I would, if you're not going to add something to my life, if you're going to give me more work to do, I don't want it.
Period. I always say life is hard. Like, why don't be with someone who makes it harder? That has nothing to do with a man. Like, that's the part that just took me. That's a self-worth thing. Like, yes. It just took a long time to realize that I deserved more. And I think that's the work that we owe ourselves.
Amen to that, girl.
I'll get off my soapbox.
No, you can stay on it all you want, because you kind of manifested your engagement with your upgraded model, because really? The next song you put out, that's Showbiz Baby, was basically like, I'm here till I get the bling, right?
Literally. I was kind of intense. Not really intense. I just wasn't playing around. My relationship with my fiance was like we'd known each other for like 10 years, but it was very unexpected. I thought I was going into like my don't even look at a man or breathe around a man era, but God had other plans. And when we started dating, I was like, listen, I will not be somebody's girlfriend for 4 years. I'm not doing it. I don't need, like, I'm good. I'm good with me. So you either know, and I either know, like we either know or we're moving on. Not that that's what I want, but like that's my vibe, you know? And then we decided to move in together. I was like, I'm not moving in with another man until I have a ring on my hand. And then we were like spending so much time together, so many nights together anyways, that we were like, what are we going to do? Like our leases were coming up and we weren't engaged yet. And you know, it was like, what, are we going to keep staying with each other and paying double rent for no reason? And I was like, okay, I will move in with you, but this does not buy you more time, okay? This house does not equal a ring. So I was so like, no bullshit at the beginning. And one of the things that he said when he proposed, he was like, you said you didn't want to be somebody's girlfriend for 2 years, and our 2 years is coming up. And I've known 2 weeks in, but I respected that, and I'm here to show you that I respect that. You know?
He listens and everything.
He's a king. But yeah, Showbiz Baby was just like, I had that title and I went in with Elise Yulo and Madeline Edwards. And I was like, I need one more like funny vibe for the album. It's unapologetically moving on. But what's so funny is I knew that I was probably getting engaged soon around the time that it was happening, but I did not expect it that night at the Opry that it actually happened. And that was on a Saturday. So it was March 28th. I released that Showbiz Baby on March 27th. And he did it after I performed. So I literally sang that Showbiz Baby. And the last line is like, now my left hand's got a new shine. And I was performing it, and usually like I wouldn't raise my hand because I was like, no, I can't put this song out and not be engaged. But I was just like hoping that it would like happen in a timely amount of time, like after that, so I didn't look stupid. But I had no idea that I was literally about to have a rock on my hand.
That's so great. I love that. And I love that he pays attention too.
He does. He listens. He's a great listener.
So then there's the song that finally put you back on my radar, because I was spending way too much time on TikTok, as I do. And here comes you singing, Mamas Don't Let Your Cowboys Grow Up to Be Babies. Yeah. When I tell you, I sat straight up going, girl, what?
That's so funny.
I love that you have done this. I know you haven't been able to release it yet. I understand there were some licensing issues,
Yes.
but I love it so much.
Thank you.
The issues have been resolved.
Issues have been resolved. Okay, so backstory of new title is Don't Let Your Cowboys Grow Up to Be Babies.
Okay.
Part of the licensing issues is we had Nix the Mamas.
Okay.
So Don't Let Your Cowboys Grow Up to Be Babies, which started as, I mean, it's an interpolation, which is like a rewriting of a song that already exists.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. Again, Madison Kozak and I, we just thought that was hilarious. And I literally, it was like one of those times, you know, they say that you can't predict what's going to pop off on the internet. And it was because Kimberly was bringing out her openers every night on that tour and doing a medley. And Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys was in that. And Madison was on that tour with me because we were riding on the road. And so that was something that we actually came up with then. And we just thought it was hilarious. And for some reason, a couple months ago when we were writing, I was like, did we ever finish that funny ass rewrite of that song? And she was like, no. And we finished it in like 20 minutes. And I was like, we need to take a video of this. It's so funny. And I think that was Friday and Mother's Day was on Sunday. And I just thought it was so funny to post it on Mother's Day. Like I was just making myself laugh. It was crazy. It has the original video has like 1.1 million views on it. And then even the follow-up videos that I did, because I texted Madison, I was like, I fear we have to rewrite the whole thing because only a chorus existed.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I guess so. So even those videos, like the follow-up ones of the verses have like over 300,000 views. And I was just like, okay, I guess. Like I have a whole album done in mixing. This song is not a part of that. So I've kind of taken a little detour for 2 seconds because the mamas need the song apparently. But I just finished recording it the other day. It's going to feature Madison on it. So it'll be me featuring Madison.
She's in the video with you, right?
Yeah, because she was in the video. And I think that's part of what people liked too, is like both of us. Mm-hmm. There was some licensing issues with it. Honestly, just because it's kind of interesting, and I'll just shout him out. His name is Trey Bruce. He's the son of the original writers on Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. And it's a Sony-owned song, and originally they declined it. And then I ended up on the phone with Trey Bruce, and he was so nice about it. And he was like, honestly, when you sent it to me, I expected not to like it. And then I listened to it and I was like, damn, I like it. You know, and I was like, this was in no way, like, I hope you didn't take this as like disrespectful to your parents and their song. Like literally, we just thought this was funny. I respect the hell out of that song. Like anyways, and he just fought for it and was like, I want them to be able to do it. So shout out Trey Bruce. He was amazing. Got approval like a couple days ago. So I think I'm working on getting it done. We're going to put it out in, I think, mid-July. Yeah, that's kind of calling back to what I was saying earlier about being an independent artist and being able to kind of just be reactionary towards what is working. This is kind of a good example of that, of like, yes, I have an album done. Yes, this was not part of the plan, but when something raises its hand, I feel like you have to do it. And this was a great example of that. And it's another man-child song, which is my brand right now, apparently.
Keep it. I love it so much. I'm excited to hear the finished version. It's definitely going on the Girl Crush Country Spotify and Pandora playlists. 100% it will be there.
Thank you very much.
Do we have a timeline on album release?
It's in mixing right now. Hopefully going to have masters back in a couple weeks, and then we're kind of going to figure out a rollout plan. I definitely think it'll be this year, probably just the fall.
Okay. Exciting. I know your people will keep my people up to date on that and make sure that we
do like another interview when the album comes out so we can talk all about the album.
Yes, absolutely.
I love talking with you. I'm remembering talking to you the first time around now, and I remember loving that interview. So
well, thank you. What a nice thing to say. Abbey Conan, has been so great having you on here. I am definitely going to have you back on. We can book that right now. I'm not even kidding.
You're like, I'm not even kidding.
Thank you for coming on to Girl Crush Country. If you love what we're doing, elevating the voices of women in country music, join the mission. Sign up for the newsletter and get the latest news and featured interviews and music releases right to your inbox at girlcrushcountry.com. Subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on all the socials at Girl Crush Country.